Hello kiddies, welcome to Tobisonics. Quick make some noise for your professional noise making needs, and we're back with Novi and Concrete Jungle and my first Tobisonic remix of 2020. And we're going to do something a little bit different in this video because we're going to have the mix engineer, my good friend Magnus, who mixed the track. He's going to take you through what he did, and how he processed it. You're going to learn a load. It's going to be great. Let's have a look at it. I'll shut up. Let's have at it, shall we? Let's go.
Hello, and welcome to a short breakdown of my mix for Tobi's remix of Novi's song Concrete Jungle. We're gonna start going through the drum bass first. Here, if we check the main parts, we got the main kick, and on that I'm making sure it's in mono because I want the low end to be perfectly in mono. I'm doing a little boost around 250 here. Then I got a parallel saturation, just increasing the click. And I got a reverb on the click. So if we listen to the dry one. And then we add the click. Adds a bit of reverb to the kick and also makes it cut through better in the mix without mudding up the low end. Then on the kicks I got the build-up stage of the song. Before the end we have a very distorted, where I have a soft tube saturation knob cutting out the low end, adding a bit of 3K, and then I got the FabFilter Pro multi-band to duck the low end even more when the primary kick hits. To be able to record this, there's a bit of latency, so the sound and the visuals won't match exactly all of the time. So I got the main kick going lower than this one. So then we have a couple of FX kicks that I'm widening here a bit, and I'm widening a bit more with another process, and I'm distorting it mildly just to get a bit more high end on it. Also high passing that around 50 Hz. And then we have the intro kick, which came pre-treated from Tobi, so I just kept that as is. So that's the kicks. The snare, we have the pre-treated intro snare. I'm just ducking out a bit around 3K because it was a little bit too harsh. And then we have the main snare, and it all gets buzzed to this. So I'm giving it some transformer crush using Castrol True Iron. And then I got the UAD SSL channel strip, doing some EQ, a little bit of compression. And I'm also clipping it here to get rid of the transient, or rather soften the transient a bit. And I'm also adding a bit of delay just to fill out the drum groove. Then we got lots of claps, some percussion tracks that I'm mostly doing EQ on, and the crashes. And the crashes are as they arrive. I'm doing a little bit from the last clap to get it to sound fatter, which was, I remember, one of the mix notes. I have added 2 tracks where I've tuned it 1 octave and 2 octaves down, and those together just sounds like that, but mixed in. It gives a bit of a nice fullness to the last one. This gets sent all together into the drum bus, where I'm doing most of the shaping. I'm using the Ableton drum bass plugin, which is excellent. Adding a bit of drive, a bit of crunch. I'm damping the high end. Adding a little bit of boom. This is also automated, the amount of boom. I'm adding a bit on a few downbeats, so we get a bit more low end. Then I got the FabFilter Saturn doing tape transient distortion here. Q3 rounding off the low end a bit because it was a bit big. And lastly, I got K-clip, just rounding off the transients, soft clipping them to make sure I got headroom. And now it's gonna be a bit low, but if we remove all of this, so there we could hear the difference with the process on or off. And on the drum bass, I'm also automating a few of the downbeats to get them to impact more. Not a huge movement, but just to keep the first downbeat of the breaks and such more prominent. And with that, let's move on to the bass. We got the main bass line that's made up of 2 parts, an octave and the main line here. And then we got the octave. It's a stereo sound, so I'm making sure that everything below 100 Hz is in mono. Then I'm saturating it a little bit. And then a bunch of EQ moves. These evolved to fit everything else in the mix, so the bass doesn't overpower it completely. But the main part here is to get the main tones. To get a solid low end out of it. And the other one here gets similar treatment. And here I'm using the Soundtoy CQ to boost and drive it a little bit. I'm boosting at 700 and in the high band, which I think is 10K and above. And then these get bussed together into the main bass bus. Here I'm using Waves Berserk to add a bit of grit to the bass. It's just blended in 25%. Then I got a bit of UED Pultec doing both boost and attenuation around 60, so I get a nice sharp bell. A little bit of boost up at 10K. Then I got a multiband. The low band is stacking the bass for the kick, so they don't clash with each other. And the top band here is automated, so when we get to where the other parts come in the song, it removes a bit of the high end on the bass. To make room for strings and pads and the vocals. A little bit more of EQ done after that. Some general compression, just keeping it steady. And then I have an automated so when the other things come in that make up the stereo spectrum, I remove the widening on the bass. To make it feel a bit smaller when everything else is in. So that's the main bass process. Then we have the intro and outro. Pad and string makes up that bass. The string is not processed at all, it's just as is. Neither is this. I'm doing all the processing on the bass. And here I have adding a bit of low end using Waves Low Air. It's not really audible there. I'm gonna come to why. Then I'm distorting it a little bit. I'm using an LA2A compression. Just to keep it. And then I have a Q3 where I'm automating the high pass so it builds into the start of the song, so we can listen through that. we get more and more low end to build up until the drop. And in context, this sounds. So that's the basis.